So, if you've ever messed around with Qt and the painter or any of the stuff with the brushes in particular, you might know that there's several default patterns that exist internally. There's like 10 of them. And one of the things you can do is you can add a texture. Now, what you may think is I'm doing right now is I'm texturing this background based off of this image, but it's actually the opposite. I'm making this image based off of something that I'm generating in Qt. So my whole goal was just to show how you can use Painter to build up images that you can then layer back in as brushes. So it's quite simple as long as you figure out a pattern and do a little bit of math, which that's why I teach people. But I just wanted to show this tool off real quick. Now what we have here, let's see if I just store pattern. Yeah, this is the default one that sort of comes up. Actually, I have the value changed. Let me change that. It'll pop back down. Let me store. Cool. So this is our default. So I'm just going to run through this real quick. And if I offset negatively and offset negatively in Y, because positive is going down in Y and across in X. Now you notice this doesn't update until I hit store pattern, and then it will shift over there. So what this is actually doing internally is there's a widget that is generating well, it's not really a widget, it's all sort of looped together, but essentially there's a pixmap that's getting built in the memory that's using all these settings, and I'm just painting it locally, and then I'm showing it. Now if I lock to absolute size, so it's only building it that big, you can see where you'll get some duplication of it. So the image it's actually making is the size of either an absolute size, or it builds it out to whatever this resize is. So if I restore this, we have a bigger image that we're saving. You can obviously save it bigger if you want. So let's say 2000 by, I'm just going to make it by 100, just to make it weird. Store pattern. So you have this really long image. Now the reason I built it to where it's sort of expanding and you can do whatever you want is because certain numbers don't really work well together. So I'm going to make this a little bit smaller just to show you this. So we have 200 by this. If I do small, yeah, there we go. So this pattern doesn't really work scaled. Some of them you'll notice do, because it lines up perfectly. So that means any size smaller would probably work, because this is actually just 200 by 100. So if I just save this out, that's the actual pattern. But if that's not the pattern you want exactly, then obviously, so let's say you wanted this pattern, then you just save out a bigger image, and there you go. Now again, you can make this as large as you want, and it will work as a fill, and you can always shift around the backgrounds however you sort of choose to. The other thing that's cool is this whole scale. This being somewhat large, it might take a second to update, but this isn't necessarily something that matters if it takes a little bit of time, because this is just to generate these patterns, and the patterns are what's important, because then you can store them and use them whenever you want. So I'm just going to set that back to 1 so it's quick. Change my line color around. Oh, I didn't change that. Sorry. Change my line color. If you notice, I'm still black, so I'll change it to like this green, and I'm going to do pink-ish sort of thing. Whoa, it sort of hurts my eyes, but that's fine. Let's save it. And there we go. We have our pattern. The only thing else I want to add back in is the ability to default everything out, because the initial version, it actually stores the background as a completely off alpha, and in here there's no real way to off alpha that I know of in the default color chooser. I could expand it. I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to make an extra button, but I'll do that later. I just wanted to show this, and yeah, this video is long enough.